Welcome back to Galactic Guidance. Have you ever felt that no matter how much you accomplish, there's still a quiet emptiness lingering within? We're often caught up in the whirlwind of daily life, constantly doing, achieving, and pushing forward. But it can leave us feeling disconnected from something deeper. In today's video, we'll be exploring the powerful concept of the quantum being and uncovering the hidden dimensions of doing and being. These two forces shape our lives in ways we often overlook, and learning to balance them is the key to finding true fulfillment. So, if you're ready to dive deeper into understanding this inner journey and creating a more harmonious life, stay tuned. Never ignore these inner dimensions, the quantum being. Have you ever asked yourself why, even when we're constantly busy, there's often a lingering feeling of emptiness that nothing seems to fill? We have full calendars, endless tasks, and even a sense of accomplishment when we cross things off our to-do lists. And yet, amidst the whirlwind of activities, that quiet void still exists. But what is that emptiness? What is it that we're missing when we seem to be doing everything we're supposed to? In today's world, we're heavily focused on the external, on doing, achieving, and moving from one task to the next. There's an implicit belief in society that the more we do, the more successful or fulfilled we'll be. But that couldn't be further from the truth. When we fixate on constantly doing, we can end up disconnected from an essential part of our being. We overlook the fact that we are not just human doings, we are human beings. To understand this emptiness, we need to explore two key dimensions of life: doing and being. These dimensions often exist in tension, with one dominating our lives far more than the other. The dimension of doing, what we typically identify as productivity and achievement, keeps us locked in the flow of time, defined by goals, challenges, and tasks. On the other hand, the dimension of being, our core essence, free from external demands, exists beyond time, in the present moment, untouched by the ups and downs of life. The emptiness we feel often comes from a disconnection between these two dimensions. The more we immerse ourselves in doing, the further we drift from being, and this creates a sense of imbalance. Despite all our busyness, we lose touch with our deepest essence, and that's where the emptiness creeps in. So, the question is, how can we bridge the gap between doing and being? How can we live our lives in such a way that we honor both our human nature and our essential timeless being? Today we will delve into this mystery and explore how to find balance, harmony, and fulfillment by integrating both dimensions. The dimension of doing. Let's start by examining the dimension of doing. For many of us, doing is the default mode of living. From the moment we wake up, we are propelled into a series of tasks, responsibilities, and goals. Whether it's work-related deadlines, family obligations, or personal ambitions, our lives are often defined by what we need to accomplish. Doing is about striving for results, hitting targets, and progressing forward. In this dimension, our sense of self becomes intricately tied to what we accomplish. We are conditioned to believe that our worth is defined by how productive or successful we are. Society rewards us for achievements, for constantly moving and pushing ahead, and this perpetuates a mindset that doing equals value. The problem with this mindset is that it's never-ending. No matter how much we do or how much we achieve, there's always something more to strive for. The moment we accomplish one goal, another one immediately takes its place. In this relentless cycle, we're driven by an insatiable hunger for more success, more validation, more recognition. But this endless pursuit leaves us feeling drained and unsatisfied because the dimension of doing is inherently future-oriented. It focuses on what's not yet done, on what's still lacking, and as a result, we often miss the richness of the present moment. At the center of the dimension of doing is the ego. The ego is that part of us that is deeply invested in external achievements. It constantly seeks approval, validation, and control. It defines itself by comparison, by competition, and by a sense of separation from others. While the ego serves a purpose in helping us navigate the challenges of life, it also creates a lot of suffering. It thrives on chaos, dissatisfaction, and the feeling of not being enough. When we're overly immersed in doing, we're often disconnected from the present moment. We get caught up in thoughts about the past, what we should have done differently, or anxieties about the future, what we need to do next. In this state, life becomes a series of tasks to be checked off rather than something to be experienced fully. We're so busy thinking about what comes next that we miss the beauty of what's happening right now. Doing, of course, is necessary. It's how we accomplish things in the world, how we meet our responsibilities, and how we grow. But the problem arises when doing becomes all we know. When we lose sight of being, doing becomes mechanical and empty. It turns into a race with no finish line, where no amount of accomplishment ever feels like enough. So how can we break free from this cycle? How can we balance the demands of doing with the richness of being? The first step is recognizing that doing alone cannot fulfill us. It can keep us busy, but it cannot keep us alive in the truest sense. We need to create space for being, a space where we can reconnect with our essence and experience life beyond the endless cycle of tasks and goals. The dimension of being. Unlike doing, the dimension of being isn't about action, goals, or accomplishments. It's not something you strive for, but rather something you allow yourself to experience. Being is the essence of who you are, beyond the roles you play, the things you do, or the labels you carry. It is the still, quiet presence that exists at the core of your being, the part of you that is timeless and eternal. When we tap into the dimension of being, we experience a profound sense of peace and stillness. There is no need to chase after anything or prove anything. In the space of being, we are enough just as we are. It's a state of pure awareness, where we are fully present in the moment, free from the constant chatter of the mind and the demands of the external world. Being is always available to us, but it's often overshadowed by the noise of doing. Our minds are so conditioned to focus on the next thing, the next task, the next goal, the next problem to solve, that we rarely allow ourselves to simply be. But being is the source of true fulfillment. It's where we connect with our deepest sense of self, with the present moment, and with the world around us. When we're in a state of being, we experience life more fully. Colors seem brighter, sounds are clearer, and we feel a sense of connection to everything around us. There's a sense of aliveness that comes from simply being present. This is why moments of stillness, whether it's a quiet morning walk, a meditation session, or just sitting in silence, feel so nourishing. They give us a taste of what it means to live from a place of being rather than doing. But in our busy, fast-paced lives, how do we access this dimension of being? How do we cultivate stillness and presence when the world around us is constantly pulling us into action and distraction? Integrating doing and being. The key to a fulfilling life lies in balancing doing and being. We need both dimensions to live fully. Doing allows us to interact with the world, achieve our goals, and fulfill our responsibilities, while being connects us to our inner essence, bringing peace and clarity to our actions. It's not about choosing one over the other, but learning to integrate both in a harmonious way. When we integrate doing and being, our actions become more conscious and aligned with our true self. Instead of mindlessly rushing from one task to the next, we bring a sense of presence and awareness to everything we do. We shift from doing for the sake of doing to doing with intention and mindfulness. In this way, each task becomes an opportunity to practice presence and to connect with the present moment. One way to cultivate this integration is through mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing your full attention to the present moment without judgment. It involves being fully aware of what you're doing, whether it's washing the dishes, having a conversation, or completing a work task. When you practice mindfulness, you bring the dimension of being into the dimension of doing. You infuse your actions with presence, which can transform even the most mundane tasks into meaningful experiences. The importance of rest and play in being. In our culture, rest and play are often undervalued. We tend to associate rest with laziness and play with childishness, but both are essential components of the dimension of being. Rest is not just about physical relaxation. It's about allowing ourselves to step out of the constant cycle of doing and reconnect with our inner stillness. It's during moments of rest that we can recharge our energy, gain clarity, and return to our tasks with a renewed sense of purpose. Similarly, play is an expression of our being. When we engage in play, whether it's through creative activities, games, or simply having fun, we are fully present in the moment. Play brings us back to a state of joy and spontaneity, free from the pressures of achievement or productivity. It reminds us of the lightness and freedom that comes from simply being alive. Incorporating regular periods of rest and play into our lives helps us maintain balance between doing and being. It allows us to experience life in its fullness and prevents burnout from the constant demands of doing. So, whether it's taking a nap, going for a walk in nature, or engaging in a creative hobby, make time for rest and play. They are just as important as the tasks on your to-do list. Another powerful tool for integrating doing and being is meditation. Meditation is a practice that helps quiet the mind and create space for being. It allows us to step out of the constant flow of thoughts and reconnect with our inner stillness. When we meditate regularly, we strengthen our connection to being, which helps us approach our daily activities with more awareness and presence. Challenges of awakening to being. As we embark on this journey of balancing doing and being, we're likely to encounter challenges. One of the biggest challenges is the resistance of the ego. The ego thrives in the dimension of doing, and it doesn't like to relinquish control. It's the part of us that says we need to keep pushing, striving, and achieving in order to be worthy. When we start to slow down and focus on being, the ego may resist by telling us we're wasting time or being unproductive. The role of self-compassion in balancing doing and being. One of the most powerful tools we can use to balance doing and being is self-compassion. In our fast-paced, achievement-oriented culture, we tend to be incredibly hard on ourselves. We push ourselves to do more, to be more, and when we don't meet these high expectations, we often criticize ourselves harshly. This self-criticism is closely tied to the ego and the dimension of doing. It tells us that our worth is based on our productivity or success. However, self-compassion allows us to step out of this cycle. When we approach ourselves with kindness and understanding, we create space to reconnect with our being. Self-compassion is about treating ourselves with the same care and gentleness we would offer a friend. It involves acknowledging our struggles and imperfections without judgment, and allowing ourselves to rest and recharge when needed. When we cultivate self-compassion, we are better able to recognize when we've been caught in the endless cycle of doing, and we can give ourselves permission to slow down and simply be. It reminds us that we are worthy not because of what we do, but because of who we are at our core. Distractions are another common challenge. The world is full of distractions that pull us away from being present. Whether it's social media, emails, or the constant bombardment of information, it can be difficult to stay anchored in the present moment. But recognizing these distractions and consciously choosing to return to presence is part of the practice. It's also important to remember that the journey of integrating doing and being is not a one-time event. It's a continuous practice that requires attention and intention. There will be times when we slip back into the old patterns of doing without presence, but each moment offers a new opportunity to return to being. Conclusion: a life in balance. In the end, living a fulfilling life is about balancing doing and being. It's about recognizing that while we are human beings with tasks, goals, and responsibilities, we are also spiritual beings with a deep need for presence, stillness, and connection. By integrating these two dimensions, we create a life that is not only productive, but also meaningful. When we live in balance, we experience less stress and more peace. We approach our challenges with clarity and calm, and we find that life flows more smoothly. The emptiness we once felt begins to dissolve as we reconnect with our true essence, and we discover that the fullness we've been seeking all along has been within us the entire time. Thank you for taking the time to explore this important topic with me today. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to take a moment to pause, reflect, and reconnect with your being. And if you're interested in continuing this journey together, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep growing and learning together. Take care, and I'll see you soon.